Good morning, everyone. If you've been here before, you know the drill. Mary will give very few brief remarks, and then we'll open it up for a few minutes Q&A. We're running a little bit late, so it won't be very long. Before I get started, though, safety is our highest priority here, and if there is an incident at all, we will calmly exit this room just out in the foyer, and the security will direct us to our next steps. So if anything happens, you'll know it. We'll announce it. We'll go from there. So after Mary's done and after your Q&A, we will broadcast the annual meeting in here. You're welcome to stay. If you do decide to go in the room, please remember that there's no recording devices allowed. And with that, that means you leave your phone out and we'll check it and make sure it's here when you get out. But those are the rules. Turn it over to Mary.
Great. Thanks, Tony. And again, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here today. I think most of you are familiar with the format of our annual meeting, and I'm sure you know the numbers from our latest performance. But before I open it up for some questions, I want to take a moment and preview some of the remarks I'll be making today at our shareholder meeting. General Motors is executing a strategy to deliver long-term value, and we're building on our core business, we're seizing opportunities to return value to shareholders, and we're leveraging the significant technical expertise to lead in the future of personal mobility. In regards to the Greenlight Capital proposal, we value all input from all of our shareholders, and we have thoroughly and objectively analyzed their ideas and assessed the company's approach to value creation. We do this on a regular basis. After careful consideration, we determined that Greenlight's proposal was not in the best interest of our shareholders. That said, given our strong results in 2016 and the first quarter of this year, we do believe that GM stock is undervalued, and we are taking decisive actions to address this. Specifically, we are aggressively returning capital to our shareholders. We're deploying resources to higher return opportunities. We're delivering great new cars, trucks, and crossovers all around the world. We're continually working to make our business more efficient and to remove costs. And we're working to lead the transformation of personal mobility. We see great opportunity to deliver transportation services that are safer, sustainable, and better than ever before. Through it all, we continue to put the customer at the center of everything we do, and we are committed to driving long-term value for our shareholders. So with that, I'd be happy to take your questions.
So I'll moderate the Q&A and then point to you. So Joe first.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, morning, Mary. What, my voice isn't loud enough?
No, it's not.
All right, so I mean, you've rejected the Greenlight proposal. Nonetheless, the share price of GM, is just above 34. Clearly, not what you or they want. What more can you or will you do to address the concerns of investors who share your view that the stock is undervalued, but obviously don't share your view that what you've done is enough to move the price up?
Well, I think we have to keep earning our way. Every quarter of delivering results, making sure we continue to be driving the most efficient cost structure as we look at, where we are in the cycle so we can outperform through the cycle. Also, very importantly, the key investments we're making and the progress we're making, not only from an autonomous vehicle perspective, but what we're doing from electrification, building on the Bolt EV strategy, building on our 20-year lead with OnStar, and then all the learning and the opportunity that we're developing with Maven. So it's not only having an exceptionally strong core business that's going to outperform during any downturn, but it's also in the transformative technologies, which we believe we have significant assets because we understand how to put vehicles on the road that last for, on average, 11 years and are of an automotive grade. Right there.
Hi, Mary.
Hi.
It has to be frustrating to you. You've done an awful lot of right things. I totaled up all your profits. I think it's $42 billion since exiting bankruptcy. What else can you do? Does it frustrate you that the market just doesn't respond to everything that you do?
Well, I think it gives me more resolve because I agree with you. The men and women of General Motors and the strategy that General Motors and a strategy that was developed and approved by our board that we're executing, I believe will deliver long-term results. So it gives me more resolve to make sure we work harder, work faster, and continue to put great cars, trucks, and crossovers on the road, continue to lead in the key technologies, and be a leader in personal mobility. And so it drives me every day.
Mayor, it seems clear at this point that the market's valuing companies like Tesla and others as a tech-based future of transportation type companies, and GM as a car company. Have you given any consideration to some sort of structure that would allow investors to bet more on the growth drivers that you do have in place, like Cruise, OnStar, Maven?
We regularly continue to evaluate many different ideas to unlock that value, but also recognizing some of the connectivity between, for instance, one of the key elements for autonomous driving, we believe the right platform is electrification, is the Bolt EV. So we bring that asset to the table. So there is some interconnection, but we continually are looking at ideas because we do want to unlock the value, but we want to make sure we do it in a way that's going to create long-term value from a company perspective.
Hi, thanks for taking questions. So in addition to getting criticism, you have received some praise from some analysts for taking a lot of tough decisions this year, including exiting Europe, deciding not to sell vehicles in India any longer, as well as South Africa, and exiting Venezuela, although that's a bit different. So I guess I was just wondering where GM is in its evolution of where you're taking it, if we should be expecting more, I don't know what else there would be, but more strategic moves like that to reshape the company, or if you feel like you're done at this point.
Well, I think we've taken the primary steps that we need to take, but what guides us every day in the business decisions we make is we need to make sure as we deploy $1 of our owner's capital that we are making sure it's going to deliver an appropriate return. So we analyze the countries and the regions and the segments that we operate in. So we think we've taken the steps, and there's work that we still have some operations we're working to improve, but we think we have very good plans to do that. But this is not a, hey, we're done. This is a continual evaluation we make because our business is also being transformed, and those are going to provide opportunities as well. So, we have a very active capital allocation process where we look at deploying our owner's capital to the most important initiatives that are going to generate the right return today and in the long term.
Hey there, Mayor. Roop Raj with Fox 2. Good to see you. When you talk about the green light proposal, I know you addressed that right off the top, but when you take a look at the evolution of those talks and how they've kind of led right into the meeting, that is unique. We usually don't see that. Does that surprise you that it came this far? And also, what is it specifically that was the first thing that you just kind of had an adverse reaction where you said, no, that's not something we want to do?
Well, I would say we, invested and worked over the last 8-month period, and we started off being very open and intrigued and looking at the idea because we welcome ideas from our shareholders and other experts. And so we evaluated it very carefully because, again, a very important shareholder, and we value the voice of all our shareholders. But as we went through and looked at the aspects of this particular proposal, we thought it provided several elements of risk and that was not in the best interest of our shareholders. So it wasn't one thing, it was doing a very careful, thorough, and objective analysis.
Hi, Tracy Samilton, Michigan Radio. I wanted to know what your thoughts were about the U.S. Pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord and your thoughts about how the General Motors should respond and how the auto industry should respond.
Well, I can speak to what General Motors, how General Motors respond. We understand the science and believe in the science, and we are committed to taking actions to reduce emissions and to negate the negative impact from an environmental perspective. In fact, we're the first OEM who has said by 2050 our energy sources will be from renewable. And that's a stake we've put in the ground, and now we plan to move that back. I think the Bolt EV also is a very demonstrated step that we have taken, that what we've invested, because we believe electrification will be a huge part of the future, and we'll continue to build on that Bolt EV platform. So we are going to take actions because we believe this is an industry that has given people freedom and mobility, and now as General Motors, we want to take the responsibility to make sure we're driving to zero emissions, along with safety as we accomplish that, and also impact and reduce congestion. So we feel we have a very big responsibility, and we're going to take these steps regardless. And we have voiced that opinion to the administration even prior to their decision.
Jeff Gilbert from WWJ.
Jeff.
Hi. GM has been more aggressive than most companies in matching production to demand. Of course, here in the local area, that's meant shift eliminations at plants. I'd like some of your thoughts looking forward. Are you going to continue to be aggressive? Will we see more of this as demand slows and as we move off of the peak of sales?
Well, we're going to remain extremely disciplined because we think for this business it's vitally important that we do that. Of course, we do feel we have award-winning products with some of the cars where we're seeing customer shift from car segments and sedans to crossovers and trucks. But we're going to continue to respond and look for opportunities not only to increase the top line, increase sales, but also then to be responsible because that's in the best interest of the long term of the business and frankly for those vehicles.
Time for about one or two more after this.
So Wall Street basically seems to sort of lump GM and Ford and Detroit all together in a lot of ways still. Obviously, you just had a leadership change at Ford. Looks like they're trying to move a little faster or say that that's what they need. Is there anything more you can or need to do to sort of differentiate GM from Ford, from Detroit, to sort of highlight more of the things that you're doing that are already similar to what's happening in Silicon Valley?
I think you make a really good point, and I think we're going to continue to work to differentiate ourselves, not only in our performance and the fact that we want to make sure we outperform through the cycle, and that's something that we're very focused and very disciplined and taking the steps not only today, but it's the work that we've done since the previous downturn to make sure we are going to be strong and able to invest in our future through a typical cycle. But also I think making sure people understand all the assets that we have and we bring to the future of personal mobility, of understanding what it takes, as I said, to put an automotive grade product on the road, the technology and the deep integration of autonomous technology into the systems of the vehicle, because let's remember when you have autonomous driving, you are controlling the most important safety systems of steering, braking, etc., and bridging that knowledge. The platform and the ability to build at scale that we have with the Bolt EV, and we do believe, and I think the industry is seeing that an electric vehicle is the appropriate platform to do autonomous driving. It is the most efficient. So when I look at all the assets we bring, the investments we've made, the position we are today, I think as people understand that, that'll allow us to differentiate ourselves and demonstrate that we will be a true leader in the new definition of mobility.
Mary, you've said the stock is undervalued a few times now. Why is that? What's the market not seeing? Is it the point in the cycle? Is it that auto companies aren't hip anymore? What's the magic they're missing?
I can't answer that question specifically, but what I know that I can do is continue to perform and outperform the industry and to make sure we're making the right investments so we demonstrate that we are going to have a bright future with tremendous growth in an area that I think will drive significant profitability as well. And so I believe as we continue to take steps, we'll continue to put more points on the board, create more proof points, and I believe it will turn.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.